everyone? Hope we're all doing well. Dillon Danis, a guy who went from being an upcoming prospect to the definition of a keyboard warrior. Now, there's a few things you may know Dillon Danis from. It could be his MMA career, or should I say lack of MMA career. It could be from trolling Logan Paul and having a Misfits boxing fight against him, or it could be for his crypto scams. But for those who don't know anything about him, let's get into it. Now, before all the shenanigans happened, Dillon Danis was known for being really good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and what made him bigger and somewhat of a bigger name as well is his ties with UFC star Conor McGregor. And when Conor McGregor was making his rise in the UFC, Dillon Danis was by his side and was making names in the MMA scene as well without even having an MMA fight. And because of his relationship with Conor McGregor and him being a big star at that time, he got a lot of eyes on himself, which led to him making his Bellator debut in 2018. On Dillon's MMA debut, he went up against 2-4 Kyle Walker, and he was able to get the submission victory in the very first round within the first 2 minutes. And that sounds fantastic on paper, but if you actually watch the fight, wasn't so impressive. Now listen, the quick finish and the submission itself was absolutely beautiful to watch, but whilst it was on the feet, well, it exposed Dillon Danis for not having the best of stand-up, and a lot of people are expecting somewhat decent stand-up from Danis, considering he was training with one of the best strikers in the UFC at the time, Conor McGregor. And you could see that he had a similar stance to Conor McGregor. You could see that his style was influenced, at least on the feet, by Conor McGregor, but he just didn't have the defensive wits about him, as he had about 3 or 4 big left hands from Kyle Walker throughout the short fight. You know, they were on the feet for like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and he had a few big left hands, which you shouldn't really be eating against a 2-4 fighter when you're a sizable favorite against them as well. And after his debut, you would be expecting maybe a quick turnaround, took no damage whatsoever, won with relative ease, and is at the start of his MMA career, so he's going to be fighting, you know, not the best opponents, but usually when someone starts off their MMA career, they're fighting not the best opponents, but they're doing it at quite a, you know, a fast rate, rather than multiple fights a year. Dillon Danis, not so much, as for the rest of 2018, he didn't fight anyone, but a year later, he went up against Max Humphrey, and this time round, it was a lot more successful. He got, again, a first round submission. It wasn't as quick, but he was able to secure the takedown much quicker than he was against Kyle Walker. Didn't really get anything against him on the stand-up because, again, he got it down quite early, and he was able to get the armbar finish relatively easily. And now Dillon Danis is 2-0, and after this, well, nothing happened. He hasn't had an MMA fight since his second win in MMA. I'm not even taking the piss. I'm going to be honest, my vision is a bit blurry. My mind can't exactly remember what exactly went on, because a lot has gone on since 2020 and 2019, but I'm pretty sure Dillon Danis was picking up a few injuries. I could be wrong on that, but a year later he was beefing with Jake Paul, and Jake Paul was recording himself doing a drive-by, just chucking toilet paper at him. So he went from this big prospect to beefing with Jake Paul, which, in all fairness, a few years later, you've got many boxers, MMA fighters, and all sorts of people trying to beef with the Paul brothers, so I suppose he was just in there before every other fucker was. But after his second fight, regardless, not much was going on for Dillon Danis. The only career he had now going for him was tweeting out shit. That was literally his next move in his career. But let's skip forward a fair bit and look at when he finally fought again. And no, it wasn't in the octagon, it wasn't in MMA, it was in influencer boxing against Logan Paul. Now, during the build to this fight, Dillon Danis was very busy on Twitter. He was doing a fantastic job of promoting this fight. And how did he do that? Well, mainly attacking Logan Paul's girlfriend. I think they're married now. And yeah, he was just constantly going at it. He wasn't even going for Logan Paul. He was just going for Logan Paul's wife. It was like he was fighting Logan Paul's wife, not Logan Paul. He was just constantly going in on her. And then after all this build-up, all this promo, all of this slating his girlfriend who turned into his wife, Dillon Danis ended up boxing Logan Paul, and it was fucking shocking. I mean, it was a very boring fight where Logan Paul was just hitting pure guard and just piercing through the guard at times, but not much was really going on, and it was really pathetic and embarrassing that the fighter, Dillon Danis, who once had all of the eyes on him as a big prospect, did fuck all against Logan Paul and had no confidence whatsoever, and even tried to get a submission at the end of the fight because he couldn't do fucking anything else, and that was about it. And now that I come to think about it, the funniest thing about this is that Dillon Danis has had 2 big opportunities to really make a name for himself, which many other people would die for. You know, he grew with Conor McGregor when he was, you know, becoming a force to be reckoned with, was a massive star, the biggest MMA star we've ever seen. Conor McGregor fumbled it. Okay, then, he gets another opportunity, a bit different. He gets Jake Paul and Logan Paul. You know, he gets to build that, and he became this massive troll on Twitter. He had a big fan base behind him as well, because obviously many people don't like the Paul brothers. And when it came to the fight, and he bottled it. And ever since then, he's just resorted to being a keyboard warrior and promoting crypto scams. And now it's 2025, and Dillon Danis is still saying he can beat certain UFC fighters, and that he's desperate for likes on Twitter. He always does the post where it's like this post, and if such and such wins, I'll give you $5 grand. What the fuck are you doing? Like the whole like and follow guys and like on Twitter is usually done by like, I don't know, just like fucking accounts that are desperate for attention, and that happens to be what Dillon Danis is desperate for. Attention. The thing is, I can't even title this video The Rise and Fall of Dillon Danis, because let's be honest, there's been no rise. It'll just be the ever declining fall of Dillon Danis, and that's it. Actually, I did just forget, he's just signed with new MMA promotion, GFL, the Global Fight League, which looks great, by the way, guys. It really looks interesting, and it definitely looks like it's going to last a very long time and be a big competitor to the UFC. But even so, will Dillon Danis even make an appearance at this GFL? I really don't think so. If I had to put a bet on it, I'll put all my money on Dillon Danis not even showing up to a fight for the GFL. So yeah, 2025, probably going to be another lackluster year for Dillon Danis, but he's used to that. He's accustomed to it, so hopefully it doesn't take too much of a toll on the big guy. But guys, let me know in the comments, what do you guys think about Dillon Danis? Do you think he's wasted potential? Have you ever been a fan of his? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.